YouTube, what it do, man? It's your guy CJ back with another video, back with another episode of the CJ Wilkins YouTube channel. Today, gentlemen, I want to do a quick uh, video about the importance of men having to be productive. And I'll say it again for the people in the back. As a man in this world, I don't care if you live in the Western Hemisphere, you live in the East. Uh, there is a tremendous amount of importance on a man being productive, right? Because we already did a video about success and what success means to you, and how success is very subjective. So I'm not gonna say a man has to be successful, right? Because success is going to look different for different people, right? But one thing that you absolutely positively have to do as a man is that you have to be productive. And as a caveat beyond just being productive, to be the greatest version of you, you have to be productive in things that feed you, things that grow you, things that nurture you. When you're productive in things that don't matter, when you major in minor things, I don't know if that's a Bible verse or whatever, but when you tend to major in minor things, or when you're productive in things that aren't refilling your cup, you'll find yourself in a continuous loop of mediocrity, a loop of depression, a loop of angst versus whatever system that you're in. You'll find yourself having these disconnected feelings and thoughts, right? And it's disconnected because, yeah, you're productive, quote unquote, but you're productive in something that isn't for you, you know? I made a post on social media last Friday, and it said, your life doesn't make sense because you're not doing what God created you to do, right? And all that really means is, for the people who may not be spiritual or may not be religious, is when you're not living, or you're not pursuing, or you're not, if you're not chasing your purpose or your calling, you're essentially settling, right? But in a worse regard, you're not just settling, you're literally a walking zombie, right? In the terms of progress, right? You are essentially dead, right? You're not physically dead. Like you haven't had your funeral yet, right? But essentially you are a dead person, right? You're not growing, you're not stretching, you're not expanding, you're not getting to the next level in life that you're supposed to be at or trying to get to. And you are literally dead, right? You're not really growing, you're not getting to the next quote unquote plateau, or you're not reaching the base of that next mountain after you finish climbing the first mountain, or the second mountain, or the third mountain, right? So it's incredibly important for you to always be productive, but get to know yourself, learn things about who you are, and what you want, and where you want to go, and who you want to be, right, in the future. Because the beauty in being a human is that, unlike other like species and stuff, when a tree is planted, all that tree can be is a tree, right? When a leopard is born, all a leopard can be is a leopard, right? Or like any other animal, right? But as a human, we have the ability to recreate ourselves, and we have the ability to become bigger and better versions of ourselves, more self-aware, more knowledgeable, more. We can put ourselves in positions to be a better service to the communities in which we come from, right? And we live in, So it's incredibly valuable to be productive, man. Like when you wake up in the morning, you need to have something that you're going to do that's going to contribute to your world, man. Right? And more successful you become at that, right, the greater benefit you are to not only others but to yourself, right? That's going to create a platform for you to be able to do whatever you want to do in the future, man. You know, but you have to have a purpose. If you have a calling, if you have a reason for you being here that you can identify and you can, you know, vocalize and verbalize and, like, you know, write down and comprehend, right? Then you are ahead of the game. But you have to be productive. A lot of times when you see guys who are like depressed or they're sad or they're, like, you know, incredibly anxious, either two things are going on. One of two things are going on. One, they're not productive, right? Or two, they are productive, but they're productive in something that is like soul draining. It is crushing their spirit every single day to do this thing, right? And someone who's had, like, you know, dead end jobs, you know what I mean? Like dead end jobs. And I'm not talking like low paying jobs, like at fast food or something like that. I'm talking like good paying corporate gigs that really on paper read one way, but the reality of it was so like opposite, right? And it was so not what I expected over time, because there's a stagnation that comes with doing the same repetitive role day in and day out. The monotonous of it has to be something you are absolutely crazy crazy passionate about, or else it's going to become a chore for you. It's going to become just a job and not a career. And, you know, that leads to burnout, right? And the burnout leads to resentment, right? And the more resentful you become about a dead-end job, or some of y'all are in, you know, dead-end relationships or dead-end friendships, or like whatever the case is, when you're walking in your purpose, you're walking in your light. And I'm not going to start preaching or, like, you know, doing a sermon, but there's a lot of value in being productive in things that matter to you. Because when you're pursuing a worthwhile goal, when you're pursuing a dream that actually speaks to you and it nurtures you and it feeds you and it covers you and it propels you to the next level in life, whatever that level is, you have a greater sense of belonging. You have a brighter sense of purpose, and your life truly begins to make sense to you, right? Your life truly begins to make sense holistically, because you're doing something that you feel like, okay, this is something that speaks to who I am. This is something I'm actually passionate about. This is something I actually want to do. And when you have there's a saying that says, when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. I don't 1,000% agree with that per se, you know. I know my personality type and my level of drive and ambition. I don't think I would ever be content with working for someone else, regardless. Like, there's no job that I could ever get, or any career I could get into, where I would just love it so much to where, like, you know, I can see myself doing that for the rest of my life. Because the goal to financial freedom is just that. When you have a job, when you have a career, even if it's a high-paying job or a career, you're one layoff season away from being back to where you began, right? There's no equity in that, right? And I'm not creating this content to shame people who do love their career and do love their job and do want to be somewhere 30, 40, 50 years, you know. But I just know, being someone who's really big about legacy, creating my own legacy and having equity in what I work towards, right? The reason why I'm so much of an advocate of creating side businesses and building side streams of income is that you should only have to get up and give 40 hours of your week to an institution because you want to, not because you have to. And I'm of the belief that all people work because they have to. I don't think if this were an item that did not compensate being a 9-to-5 system, I don't think people would actually work, right? So I most definitely am a firm believer that you have to work and build towards things that give you value, that speaks to you, that makes you better. And as a result, you have more energy, you have more vitality. You're able to fill your proverbial cup in life to where now you're not exhausted, you're not dead, you're not drained when you get home in the evening. So now, even though you do have a job, you do have a career, if your goal is freedom and to break away from the quote unquote the matrix, right, of the 9 to 5 plantation, you have to have energy in the evenings to do those things, right? But if you have a job that destroys you and it breaks you down, even if it's not a physically or like a labor inducive like role, some jobs are really just mind numbing. They just stab at your spirit, you know what I mean? And I have been in that position a few times actually in life. And I can tell you, man, the money sometimes may be really good, but if it starts to affect your like mental health and your overall well-being from a peace standpoint, you may have to reconsider some things. But most definitely be productive, man. Like, don't let your days go to waste. Don't spin your wheels or spend your days doing things that aren't beneficial to you. You know what I mean? Like, do not do that. Like, there's nothing to be gained by you doing that. You know what I mean? And that's for men and women. That's not just a guy thing or whatever. Like, that's for all people. You know. So try to if you can. It got really dark in here. I'm in parking garage here. Okay, but yeah, try to be as productive as you possibly can. Have something to offer this world. Build yourself up in a way to where you can't be easily torn down by other people, places, or things. And as always, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, CJ Wilkins. It's your boy CJ, and I'm out. Peace.